Hello everyone, I'm Lilmac and welcome back to another Magic the Gathering Commander review. I'm going to try and go through this a little faster than I did for Arcades Sabbath. I'm noticing that in order to make a bunch of these videos so I can try and catch up, which will be nigh impossible, but try and catch up in these Commander reviews, I'm going to have to try and make these shorter, take less time editing them, find ways to make this process go a little bit faster. So without further ado, today we're going to talk about Axelrod Gunnarson. From the Legend set, Axelrod Gunnarson is a Rakdos legendary giant, and it is a 5/5, and I'll read the exact text for him. I'm pulling up the wrong thing. It is a 5/5 legendary giant. It costs a staggering 4 generic mana, 2 black mana, and 2 red mana. And it has trample, and whenever a creature dealt damage by Axelrod Gunnarson this turn dies, you gain 1 life, and Axelrod Gunnarson deals 1 damage to target player or planeswalker is the errated text. So what are we going to do with Axelrod Gunnarson? Well, first, let's talk about his rules. He does have a couple rules texts going on here, 3 to be exact in this image you're looking at. To summarize, the first thing is, whenever a creature dies, just make a mental note. Did Axelrod deal damage to this creature before it died, or caused it to die? If the answer is yes, trigger Axelrod's ability. Very simple. Second, if Axelrod dies and killed the creature that he dealt damage to at the same time, his ability will still trigger because the requirement was met. Finally, you can target any player or planeswalker with Axelrod Gunnarson's ability. It doesn't have to be the controller of the creature that you killed. Very simple. Alright. Chandra's Ignition is what I picked for a synergistic combo card. Chandra's Ignition is a sorcery for 3 and 2 red mana. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to each other creature and each opponent. That is 5 damage all across the board. Hopefully you will be getting a lot of triggers with that 5 damage, which is great. That's going to be extra life for you. That's going to be extra pings towards planeswalkers or players that you need to finish off the game. And if you build like a go wide token deck and then you use this to like blow up your own board, plus anything else the opponents may have, even better, because you have built your deck to make Chandra's Ignition the win card by building a giant weak weenie board, blowing it up, and sending all the damage to your opponents, which is really fun. The deck that I have Axelrod Gunnarson in is going to be my Rakdos Goad Provoke deck. The objective of this deck is to force your opponents to fight each other, and then either Axelrod is going to be getting through with trample to your opponents and then triggering off of the defenders, or his weaker creatures will be forced to fight me at the end of the game, which then I can use Axelrod to block, to negate the damage, gain a little bit of life, and keep pinging creatures, or players and planeswalkers. So in this image here, the 10 cards that I have for this deck, bear in mind that not all the cards that you see are cards that I use in my personal deck. These are just cards that would fit the theme. For example, the win condition Revel in Riches is not going to be in my deck, I think. I don't remember if Revel in Riches is in my mono black deck or not, but not all the cards you see here are going in my deck, but this is the general theme. You're going to be goading your creatures with things like Ghoulish Impetus, Shiny Impetus, Bloodthirsty Blade, Disrupt Decorum, and Vengeful Ancestor. You're going to be getting card advantage and causing players to do more combat things with Court of Lochthwain. You're going to be protecting your board state while trying to eliminate your opposing creatures with things like Not Dead After All and Touch of Moonglove. And then of course you can alternate win with Revel of Riches. Now, as far as two other deck ideas that I think would be fun for Axelrod is you could do a Voltron style build like you see here now, where the idea is you're going to beef him up with things like Basilisk Collar to give him Death Touch on top of his Trample, so that way you only need the 1 damage with Death Touch, and then you can deal the remaining 4 to the opponent and still get the trigger. Lifelink also fantastic, especially with his ability to gain you life from like Chandra's Ignition plus the life you gain from his ability triggering. Really great synergy. Eternal Thirst is an aura that you can use that whenever he triggers, he's also going to be getting stronger. So he won't be a 5/5 trampler, he'll be then a 6/6, 7/7, 8/8, harder for your opponents to block and more easy for you to trample over his defending creatures, which will then keep snowballing this Eternal Thirst. And then finally, Nemesis Mask, the best way, like with the Goad and provoking kind of strategy, give Axelrod Nemesis Mask when he's really big and he's got that Death Touch, and then force everyone to block Axelrod so you can ping a ton of creatures with just 1 point of damage to each, which I think is phenomenal. And finally, of course, if you wanted to do a tribal-based deck or a typal-based deck, there is Giant Type, Giant Tribe. The 3 cards I picked were Calamity Bearer, Stink Drinker, Daredevil, and Grave Titan. You're going to be mostly red-focused in this deck, just because that is where the most giant synergies are found, are in red. From Lorwyn or from Kaldheim, that's where you're going to get a lot of support, is in red. However, there are some pretty amazing giants in black, like Grave Titan. Phenomenal card, can really give you a wall to block with, or give you another win condition by swarming the board with zombies, and then you can Chandra's Ignition all of your zombies and get tons of extra damage. And finally, let's talk about his strengths and weaknesses. Axelrod Gunnarson is great in throwing lots of damage. If you build around Axelrod and you want to maximize the ability to eliminate creatures to get his ability to trigger, you could really build something where it's a very heavy edict filled pinger style, whatever you want to do. It's very efficient at throwing damage all over the place if you build around Axelrod, which I think is really cool. Well, wow, let me fix that. Like Arcades Sabath, however, and many other commanders that we have and will be talking about, very expensive. 8 mana is a lot. Once Axelrod is removed once, he is then 10 mana to play again, so he is one of those cards that you either need to have plenty of protection for, plenty of reanimation effects for, which you can do. It's Rakdos, very easily done to reanimate in these colors. But just be mindful, because if he does go back to the command zone for any reason, he's immediately 10 mana to play for an ability that, yes, you can throw lots of damage, but there are some better ETB triggers that can get you something instantaneous, whereas you have to get him into play and you have to be able to start killing creatures with him. So if you build with Axelrod, build smart, play smart. But if you do, I think you're going to have a lot of fun. I think this commander is really great. An idea that I was thinking of right before recording was he gains you life. So was there a Rakdos Axelrod Gunnarson life gain strategy that maybe you could play with and have fun with in these colors? I don't know. I didn't look into it, but I would love to hear your guys' thoughts about that. I'd love to hear your thoughts about life gain, about Giant Tribal, or even just going straight Voltron and making him a massive, unkillable threat. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on that. I hope you guys enjoyed this. This was much shorter than any of the other videos I've done, and I think I'm going to try and keep them this way. I like having the shorter videos. They're easier to watch, and they're easier for me to edit, especially because I want to be making a video for as many commanders as I can. So stay tuned for much shorter videos. Like, comment, subscribe what you guys think down below. Hit the bell to get notified when more Magic the Gathering videos come out. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!